The night cracked open like a storm without thunder, the kind that presses against the chest before the rain ever falls. And when she finally said she could not hold it in any more and that she was coming out, the world seemed to tilt, as if gravity itself paused to listen. I remember the way the streetlight outside flickered, how the ceiling fan hummed like a tired witness, and how something ancient and fragile inside both of us broke free at the same time. In that instant, I understood that some truths are heavier than secrets, and some secrets are heavier than love. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet courage, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who might need hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel The Kindness Chronicles so more stories like this can find the people who need them most. We had known each other since we were young enough to believe that the world was fair if you were patient and honest. We grew up under the same sky that taught us to keep our heads down and our hearts guarded, where tradition felt like a locked door and fear was the key everyone carried. She was the kind of person who laughed softly, as if afraid of taking up too much space, and I was the kind who listened too much, learning early that silence could be a shield. Our lives ran parallel for years, close enough to touch but never colliding, until the day her eyes held a storm she could no longer contain. The challenge did not arrive all at once. It crept in like a shadow stretching longer each evening. I noticed the weight she carried in the way she hesitated before smiling, the way she watched people instead of joining them, the way she flinched at careless jokes that cut deeper than anyone realized. She was fighting a war no one else could see, a battle between who she was and who the world demanded she be. I struggled too, caught between my instinct to protect and my fear of what protection might cost us both. In a place where whispers could ruin lives, love often learned to hide. Days turned into weeks, and the air around us thickened with unsaid words. I felt helpless watching her fade into herself, knowing that honesty was the medicine and the poison. When she finally reached the edge of herself, it was not dramatic in the way movies pretend. It was quiet, exhausted, and devastatingly human. The truth poured out not as a performance, but as a surrender. She was not asking for applause or permission. She was asking for air. And in that moment, I chose to become the space where she could breathe. Saying it would be our little secret was not about hiding her truth. It was about buying her time. Time to heal, time to stand stronger, time to choose her own moment. Yet that promise carried its own weight. Secrets demand vigilance, and vigilance can erode the soul. I learned what it meant to listen without fixing, to guard without controlling, to love without ownership. Every gathering became a test, every conversation a tightrope. I watched her smile through pain and wondered if silence was saving her or slowly drowning us both. The world outside did not soften just because our hearts had opened. Prejudice remained loud, ignorance careless, and danger real. I saw how easily kindness could turn into cruelty when difference appeared. My own struggle grew as I questioned my role, my courage, my limits. There were nights I lay awake imagining a future where she could walk freely, and mornings when fear convinced me that dreaming was reckless. Still, change has a way of beginning in the smallest places, and ours began with trust. As months passed, something subtle shifted. She started to stand taller, her laughter grew steadier, and her eyes carried less apology. The secret did not shrink her, it strengthened her. Watching that transformation taught me that truth, even when hidden, has a way of healing from the inside out. I learned that allyship is not loud declarations but consistent presence, not grand gestures but everyday loyalty. Together, we built a quiet sanctuary in a noisy world. The turning point came not with an announcement, but with a choice. She chose herself in a room where fear once ruled. She chose honesty in her own time, with her own voice. The aftermath was not easy. Some doors closed, some hearts resisted, and some nights were heavy with tears. But others opened unexpectedly. Compassion appeared where we least expected it, and love proved more resilient than hatred. I realized then that secrets are sometimes bridges, not prisons, and that coming out is not a single moment but a lifelong journey. By the end, the story was no longer about secrecy, but about courage rippling outward. Her truth inspired others to question their silence, to soften their judgments, to listen. It reminded me that protecting someone does not mean keeping them hidden forever, but walking beside them until they can walk on their own. The world did not change overnight, but a corner of it did, and that was enough to keep believing. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone you love or a truth you are still holding, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles so these stories can continue to light small fires of hope. And before you go, leave a comment line below with your thoughts, your prayers, or a simple message of support, because sometimes a few kind words are the courage someone else needs to finally breathe.